All right, we are live. Got to let it breathe just for a moment. Everybody's going like, "Wait, what's going on?" Not only is it Christmas Eve, but like the sorry, I'm having to work around my little mini TV I've got in front of the computer screen here. But we're live. Welcome in everybody. This is the gut reaction episode on Christmas Eve, Mile High Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. With me, you know him, you love him, my fellow football priest and partner in crime, doing our best to have a holly jolly Christmas Eve, Zack Kelberman. Zack, the Broncos had the worst third quarter I think we've seen from them. Pretty much a stinker game from the get.
Yeah.
Inexplicably, they're 2 points away from tying this thing. It's looking like it's a Brandon Johnson touchdown. It's under review. What's been your gut reaction so far?
My gut reaction was up until the last couple minutes, the Broncos look like a team that either quit on Sean Payton quit on the team, or they just don't deserve to be in the playoffs. I mean, we've been saying that for weeks. If you can't beat Bailey Zapp and the corpse of Ezekiel Elliott, who, is hurdling people and scoring touchdowns, you don't deserve to make the tournament. But we're in real time now, and the Broncos are making a furious comeback, so we'll have to judge it accordingly, Chad.
So it's looking like the touchdown stands. I hope I'm not spoiling this. We're doing a little watch along. Broncos 2-point conversion. They're in a run formation. It's a play fake, and they've got it. They've got it. They've got it. And it's a tie ball game, Zack, with 2 minutes and 53 seconds left to go. I tell you what, let me give you guys a little play-by-play. All right, about 15 minutes ago, real time, top of the fourth quarter, Mims fumbles, scoop it up. Scott's like, you guys might as well just go live early. It's Christmas Eve. Just go live. Like, yeah, collapse, right, Zack? It's going to be give up the ghost type of storyline. So we get her rolling. We get the stream scheduled. I mean, we were going to go live at the final gun as we always do anyways. But in the process it took to get the stream scheduled and get on camera right now, Zack, this game is tied. I would not have guessed that. Seriously. I would not have guessed in that time the Broncos would have put whatever it is, 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions, 16 points on the board to get this thing tied. Like I'll tip my hat at least in that. They're not going down without a fight. They could still win this thing.
Yeah, they've been the cardiac Broncos for much of the year. I'm not surprised they've turned it on in the fourth quarter. And I don't want to be a wet blanket like usual. It's just disheartening, Chad, that they dug themselves that deep of a hole to start the game. And after that fumble by Mims and the touchdown, it looked like it was a game from 2022. It looked like the hybrid of the Colts game from last year and the Rams game from last year. Suffice it to say, those weren't pleasant viewing experiences.
I mean, all the snafus, just put them aside for a second. Right now, the fact that Peyton didn't take that field goal at the top of this game is coming back to haunt them. He's done that a few times this season, Zack. Were you scratching your head when he decided to just go for? I mean, I get the premise that, hey, we don't think this offense can do anything. The Patriots offense, so we're just going to go ahead and try and go for the touchdown, expecting you to get a short field. And that's really how it unfolded. They didn't get it, and they got a short field, quickly got the ball back, short field. But still, I was like going, come on, dude, points at a premium.
It also looked like Sean Payton didn't have trust in his own offense, and specifically Russell Wilson with the way he was calling parts of this game. And again, not surprising to see the Broncos turn it on in the fourth quarter, but it's like, where is this Broncos team the first 3 quarters? Why does it take such a big deficit for them to wake up? It's maddening.
This is a possession where, I mean, you got that early Christmas gift of a takeaway to open this game on the Patriots' first possession. That was nice, but this is where the defense can really deliver a Christmas miracle, not just with a stop, but get a takeaway here. Get a takeaway, get the ball back, and let Russ go win this thing. It's time for the defense to make up for a horrible, horrible showing in that third quarter.
Yeah, with Vance Johnson leading the way, as Rich Eisen keeps calling him. He also called him, Rich Eisen did Jaleel McLaughlin about 40 times. Not the A+ announcing crew on NFL Network, but yeah, they need the defense to do what they were doing on the winning streak, Chad, which is creating turnovers and forcing chaos.
You just got a negative play on second down. Nice play by Alex Singleton to sniff out that screen, so it's going to be something like 3rd and 13. What's up, Mike? The Ronk in the house. Good to see you, my friend. Merry Christmas to you. Whether this ends up being a victory or a loss, guys, Merry Christmas. Keep in mind, or if you don't celebrate, Happy Holidays, Festivus, whatever it is, keep in mind the purpose of this season's spirit. All right, and at least that's what I'm telling myself, Zach.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a game in the end. There's bigger things we all deal with every day. One of them being Christmas, and we definitely appreciate each and every one of you, win or lose. Starting with you, Michael. Thank you.
So real quick, when we're grabbing Diamond, Zappy scrambles for a modest gain on 3rd and long, comes nowhere close, but there's a penalty. Holding offense. Okay, so the Broncos are about to get the ball back. Diamond Rattler, my dog, so good to see you. The brainchild behind this rad pendant that I treasure right up here. It's so cool. Beads. I'd show it to you, but then I'd have to move a bunch of stuff. My books might collapse. It'd be a potential disaster. So Diamond, love you, big dog. Merry Christmas, he says to Chad and Zach and everyone. Salute to you both. Right back at you, big dog. I'm on that special eggnog, so I might not make sense. Hey, I don't blame anyone for turning on the special eggnog tonight. I mean, it's Christmas Eve. A, B, you needed to kind of kill some pain a little bit and suppress some probably deep-seated anger, disgust, embarrassment. Zach, I don't fault anyone for any of that.
No, have a good time and drink responsibly, and hopefully we get to watch the Broncos pull this one out, Chad. Be quite the Christmas miracle, as it were.
Diamond and anyone else that's had one or two, just make sure you have reliable transportation if you're going anywhere else. If you need to be make your way home tonight. George Fox in the house. Good to see you, big dog. Says we look like our season was over, but here we come. Not sure we want the playoffs this season. MHH for life. Hey, bro, you always want the playoffs. If they're on the table, go get them. They're still on the table. The Broncos are about to get the ball back, Zach, and they're going to have Russ about 2 minutes to try and make some hay.
They are on the table, and if they win this game, it goes a long way toward making the postseason. Fortunately, things broke in the Broncos' favor today with some of the other teams in the AFC losing. But again, even if they squeak this one out, they were a lot of their goodwill, to me anyway, they built up over the course of that winning streak was kind of evaporated today. They're going to have to come out the next 2 games to prove that they're a playoff team and not just eking by the worst of the worst, because for 3.5 quarters, Chad, this looked like a bottom feeder, not a playoff contender.
Kendrick, and by the way, it's a touchback on the punt, so the Broncos are going to have to go a goodly distance with just under 2 minutes. Kendrick, my dog, so good to see you. Merry Christmas, brother. He says, Merry Christmas, my guys. MHH for life. Broncos country. Hashtag, of course. Denver makes my blood boil. LOL, but I love him. I know, man. And it's like my brother and I, the first half of this game, I was watching it from my family Christmas Eve party, annual Christmas Eve thing. And he opined, man, everything just comes at a dear price. Nothing's easy for this offense in particular. Like, you could say that for the team, Zach, but look, at least the defense, who's had its warts the last couple of weeks, I'm not trying to absolve them of that, but at least this defense, for a stretch anyway, this season operated at an elite level. We've not been able to say that about any form of Broncos offensive football since the sheriff was in town.
Yeah, a lot of the eliteness, though, was predicated on takeaways and other teams kind of crapping their pants against the Broncos. Not to take anything away from what Vance Joseph did, a lot better than week 3. But the question that I could speak for myself I had is, how is this defense going to look when there's games where the other team doesn't turn the ball over? And against Detroit last week, Chad, as one example, they were far from elite. They've gotten better, I think, more near the middle, but still a lot of work to do.
So I missed what the penalty was. They're re-kicking it. And definitely going to be better field position. Ball just goes out of bounds somewhere around the 30. Looks like the 39 is where they're going to spot it. Denver's 39. So fortuitous. All right. Penalty pushes the Patriots back. Broncos don't start from the 20. They're getting about 19 yards on that. So let's go, Russ. A minute 42. Kendrick, again, thank you, big dog. But yes, this is one of those games where you're going back and forth, Zach, through all kind of different emotions. And one of them especially is, man, here we were hoping for the Broncos getting out there, doing what it takes to secure what they can control relative to playoff destiny, but they don't look like they deserve to even be on the field, let alone in the playoffs. And yet here they are, minute 42, destiny in their hands. They can control this thing, at least this game. Really bizarre night. Colby, the Triple C, good to see you, big dog. Merry Christmas, right back at you. Says it's loud at Mile High. Ooh, screen and loss on the first down. Colby says, bring back Mile High Magic. Where was this team for 3 quarters, though? I know, and that's another thing, Zach, is like Sean Payton's dogged I mean, tip your cap in one sense to like sticking to the run, but at times it's like, hey, you should have gone into this kind of backyard mode. Oh, tip pass it on second down a long time ago.
Yeah, and you were talking about how the season's taken different forms, and I think this game perfectly encapsulates the Broncos season. Completely Jekyll and Hyde, Chad. I mean, they can look amazing one week and play by play, game by game, and then look, craptastic the next play, the next game. It's edge of your seat season for the Broncos. And can I just point out, can we get rid of the screenplays to running backs or anyone in particular? They just do not work for whatever reason.
The Broncos have just not been able to get that aspect of the offense going under Sean Payton. In fact, it's been, again, I hate to bring it back all the way to the time of the sheriff, but that's how long it's been since a screen did anything. Ooh, nice. Oh, here we go. Come on, baby. Got it. Nope. Incomplete on 3rd and 13. They're going to punt. They got to punt. Matthias, what's going on? This is rad. Up all night, home in Sweden, watching my Broncos. First time checking you guys live. Well, welcome, buddy. Glad we're able to connect. Shows that Broncos country, that's right. It is not a geographic location. You're living proof of that. Matthias. It's a state of being, baby. It's wherever you are. And this cat's in Sweden, where many of my ancestors hail from. So welcome, big dog. Thank you. Appreciate you making yourself known. Scott says, what's better than a midnight game on Christmas Eve? An overtime midnight game on Christmas Eve. Somebody get the ball. Somebody take the ball away. Lawrence, play design sucks. How is Vance out coaching Sean? Yeah, I don't know. So much of this, Zach, it's like chicken or the egg. Is it the play design? Is it the trigger man? I think there's a little blame to be shared on both sides, but a big part of me, I give Russ his props when the chips are down, but I'm so tired of this Tebow-esque stinking it up through 3 quarters, 3.5 quarters, whatever it may be, and finding a way to conjure miracles. Your luck runs out. Good teams don't allow you to do that, as was basically a lesson learned by the Tebow Broncos in 2011 when they met this New England Patriots team after stealing one from the defending champion Steelers in the wild card. They get to the divisional round and had reality served up to them on a cold platter.
I don't think anyone's out coaching anyone. The defense, they've stiffened up, but so is the offense. They've woken up in the second half, but in the first half, I mean, Jaquan McMillian is probably having his worst game of the season. Patrick Surtain was even getting kind of owned in coverage. They let Bailey Zapp go right down the field. The defense is definitely not perfect. If the Broncos go on to lose, the defense should not be exonerated. Everyone, kind of like last week and kind of like in 2022, a lot of stink surrounding, a lot of people with different culpability in this loss if they do lose this game.
But you know what? If you're amongst the throngs of Broncos country in the stadium right now, I mean, it must be an elating feeling. I've been there. I know what it's like, like feeling like, oh man, we totally lost our chance at winning this one. And all of a sudden here you are, chips are down. You got a chance. The Broncos need a takeaway right now. Get a takeaway and win this game. Someone get the ball. Stuffed them on 2nd and 4, maybe a yard. So it brings up a 3rd and 3, 47 seconds left. Broncos have 2 timeouts for what it's worth, Zach. The Patriots have 1.
I think the Patriots are playing for overtime, but the Broncos should get the ball back once more, and hopefully they don't press too much. If they're pinned back deep, Russ doesn't make a mistake. He was a little willy-nilly with the football earlier, Chad, and they can't afford, obviously, to suffer any turnovers this late in the game.
Scratch that. Sean just used one of the 2 timeouts to stop the clock at 47 seconds. So we shall see how this bad boy shakes out. It's 3rd and 3. How cool it would be to be able to actually have the game on screen for everybody, a true watch along. But we tried that one time and got locked out of our going for a shot, and he got it. Back shoulder on Surtain. I'm telling you, Surtain has not had a good night, and frankly, he hasn't had a very good season. Solid, I would give him, but tonight they haven't been shy from going at him.
Didn't I just say I don't think VJ is out coaching Sean? The defense, it does not have his best performance tonight, and it's that typical VJ red flag, Chad. When you need them to get a stop in crunch time, they let the opposing team march down the field. This kind of reminds me in real time right now of what Jimmy G did in week 1 to lead that game-winning drive when the Broncos lost to the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm touching wood as I hear you say that, because I'm just thinking to myself, well, there's still 18 seconds left now. New England just used its last timeout. This kicker is obviously unreliable, but he may get a chance at redemption, and I hate even contemplating that storyline. Lawrence, it's plays that have not worked for us all season, called multiple times. Like, I'm surprised Russ is still throwing in the end zone because the back can't get 3 yards. It's the story of our life. Yeah, again, like I come back to what it would look like with a quarterback that was, selling out. Ooh, caught the ball. The clock's running. They're going to try and clock this thing 9, 8, 7 seconds. Do they kick it now or do they try and they'll try one more play? Nope. They're trotting them out.
You got to kick it now.
What's the yardage on this?
From the 37 or 36. It's either 53 or 54. It's not the easiest kick in the world.
This is
Here we go.
Ding dong. All right, guys. He's 1 for 2 on field goals tonight. He made 33, missed 47.
Missed badly.
You must be a little ahead of us. He missed this kick? You've already seen it?
No, they were showing his highlights. I said he missed badly.
Okay. And it's good. I can tell you right now. Game. It's good. Redemption indeed.
We're on to 2024.
Yep.
No business being in the playoffs. You lose to Bailey Zappi last second.
Oh, harsh.
2024.
I tweeted about this earlier, Zach, that, in big games, you need your best players to make big plays. And when they don't, it's deafening. The vacuum that gets created, it's unbelievable. We could go through and list a number of the Broncos' best players, Zach, that failed to really step up tonight. But on this particular drive, when the chips were down, Surtain burned one-on-one in coverage. Once again, was that Parker? I want to say it was Parker again. I was talking while we were watching it, so I'm not certain of that. But harsh. Peyton, yep, headset off. That's the ball game for you. Belichick, yep, eating into that terrible record that he has against the Broncos. Trying to balance those scales. Yep, this one's over, gang.
You can't put yourself in that hole. I don't care if you're playing the Patriots or playing the Chiefs or the Eagles or any team. You can't put yourself in that hole and expect to come out in the fourth quarter. It's just too little, too late. And they ended the game like they looked to start the game, Chad. Like you made a great point. The players that you count on, your foundational talents, did not do enough. That includes Russell Wilson. That includes Pat Surtain. That includes the coaching staff from Sean Payton. I don't think they were necessarily ready for this game, up for this game. That includes VJ for allowing Bailey Zappi to go down the field on multiple occasions. Again, it's a collective failure, and we can now remove the P word playoffs from our vernacular because even if they have a chance next week or the week after, they do not deserve to be there, period.
So, short kick, squib. Chris Manhertz grabs it, takes a quick knee. So the Broncos get 1 second opportunity from, what is it there, 25? Ish, or was it 30? I'm not sure on the spot.
Cue the Benny Hill theme music.
So, yeah, Zach, you grab your little tiny violin. I'll get mine. And, this was I'm tired of seeing this team play on Christmas. I'll be honest with you.
Same.
Like last year, it was the straw that broke the Hackett back. He was fired after that brutal Christmas game, Christmas Day. Here's Christmas Eve, game you're supposed to win. Harsh, man. Lawrence, well, the only thing I'm looking forward to tonight is cookies. Yeah, Lawrence going to usurp Santa's cookies. And thank you for the big boy stars, my friend. Seriously, appreciate it. Scott said, I made 8 dozen yesterday. Hey, Scott the Baker. If he was an assassin or a gangster, that's what he'd be known as, Scott the Baker. Zach, I mean, the improbability of this going anywhere. But they did have one miracle. Remember the miracle? It was end of half.
The Saints game?
Hail Mary. No, the Broncos Bears, I want to say, where Brandon Johnson came down with that Hail Mary. Wasn't at the end of the game. It was
not this time.
End of the half. But this one, man, you're gonna have to get a nice clean throw and just pray to Santa Claus and every god that you believe in to come down with it. But yeah, they're not even rushing. So Russ is going to get all the space he needs and time to throw it. Here he goes. Now they're giving him a little pressure. Two guys sticking around, and Russ finally chucks it. Got to the 20. Incomplete. All right. Let me get this shut off here. This ignominy must be cleansed from my Christmas palate. And we'll reset here. Welcome in, everybody. It is the Gut Reaction episode of the Mile High Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Chad Jensen, on this Christmas Eve. With me, as always, my partner in crime. You know him, you love him, Zack Kelberman. Zack, as we see the real-time people coming in, the stats are about to explode on our live stream here. You're, there's been a few people that have been with us while we did a little bit of a watch along through the last 3.5 minutes, but since this is going to be the beginning of what people are going to hear and whatnot for the on-demand episode, and a lot of people probably fast forward to this anyway on YouTube. Let's just recapitulate a few of these things we've already touched on. Your gut reaction so far to, or your gut reaction tonight.
Yeah, we're on to 2024 officially. We should collectively vanquish the playoff word from our vocabulary because the Broncos are probably not going to get in now. That was the final nail in their coffin, and they don't deserve, quite frankly, to get in anyway. You come out on Christmas Eve, primetime game, have to have it. You're at home. You're playing the Patriots and Bailey Zappi, and you allow him to go down the field, kick a game-winning field goal. Patrick Surtain was not good enough. Russell Wilson was not good enough. VJ was not good enough. Sean Payton was not good enough. I said it twice this podcast. I'll say it for the third time. Like most losses in recent years, this was a collective failure. It wasn't one individual. The whole team didn't look like they showed up for 3.5 quarters, and you can't dig yourself that big of a hole and expect to always climb out. Doesn't matter who you're playing, Chad.
I mean, think about it. Even, okay, you don't take the points on your first offensive possession. You decide to go for it on fourth down, and you're stuffed with another just absolutely telegraphed, we're going to run the ball right here, and they stopped them against, one of the best rushing defenses in the league. Okay, take that away. Oddly enough, Broncos still win this game, if not for a Marvin Mims fumble. Now, I don't want to put this game on Mims. He was just a symptom of how things unraveled, but again, the margins are so thin in the NFL, and on gotta have it games, this is one of those. The Patriots were relishing the opportunity to play spoiler, and Sean Payton talked about earlier this week. Zach, I'll use his word, how Belichick, will come in and loot you, right? And that's exactly what happened. He's a Grinch. Check the thumbnail of this episode of the Mile High Huddle podcast. Belichick stole Christmas. He looted the Broncos, even though you can argue, Zach, that they looted themselves.
They did, and it was the same type of self-sabotaging the Broncos have traditionally employed. When the offensive line wasn't bad, Russell Wilson was bad, and the running game was slogging along. Losing Courtland Sutton was a death knell for this offense because it showed that when you take away Courtland Sutton, this offense is very mediocre. They don't have any star talent outside of Sutton. But again, on defense, when you had to have it, it reminded me, we talked about it while we were watching the game, week 1 with Jimmy G. When you have to have that stop, where was the defense? Where was that clutch takeaway, even a sack, something to impact the game? They were MIA, just like the rest of the team. I am very disappointed. And I'll say, I don't think it's a hot take. This loss stings more and is more embarrassing than week 3.
Yeah, it's open heart perjury indeed, Diamond Rattler. Thank you for super chat number 2 tonight and the Bridge the Gap reference. The feeling is despondence. The feeling is tragedy. It's desperation for a moment there tonight. Broncos made some hay, too little, too late. It was a nice 16-point surge, Zach, but as you said, too little, too late. Diamond, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. As we talked about, Taylor real quick, though, jumping in, saying one thing to say, 8 in a row, very disappointing, meaning 8 seasons in a row with no playoffs. Indeed. Thank you for the super big dog. Merry Christmas to everybody. I know that might sound like I'm being, I'm being a little cute. I'm not trying to be ironic. I still hope everybody has a good Christmas Eve or finish to their Christmas Eve and a good Christmas tomorrow. Try and keep your mind on the reason for the season, whether it's you're celebrating Christmas, happy holidays, festive, whatever it is, keep your eye on that prize. The Broncos are not going to be making the playoffs again, Zach, for, as Taylor just pointed out, the 8th straight season. However, if they don't win another game, you got a 2-game improvement, Zach, over last year's finish. With Sean Payton and a quarterback named Russell Wilson making the kind of money he is, not good enough. I was expecting a 4 was like the floor of what I expected this to be improvement wise over last season's win total, which was 5 victories. So I was expecting like 9 is the floor, and that's still on the table. You can go in and beat the Chargers and the Raiders. It's very unlikely to avail you relative to the playoffs, but there's still a chance you could finish plus 500. Cold comfort. Chad says, so Russ is benched the rest of the year. Thank you for the super chat, Chad. Appreciate you, big dog. What do you think, Zach? Your answer for Mr. Campbell here?
I don't think they're going to bench Russell Wilson. They've sunk too much money into him, and they're going to see what they can do the last couple games, make it work. It would create more in my opinion, create more problems than it's worth putting in Stidham this close to the season's end. With the Broncos still technically in the playoff hunt, if they win their last 2, they could get in.
Not to cut you off, but let me posture it this way. Do you bench Russell Wilson knowing the playoffs are basically all but a very slim possibility? I mean, to protect him from injury, that would guarantee his 2025 salary. Do you think their mind is on getting out of his situation? Because that's the only reason you would do it, is if you were already of a mind as a team, Zach, to move on from Russ.
I could see the case for it, but there's been no inkling that they've even are thinking of going that route. If they were considering that, maybe, again, my opinion, they would have benched Russ for a series or had Stidham warm up on the sideline. There'd be a little more breadcrumbs to follow if they were planning to go that route, but anything could happen, Chad.
I'll agree with my partner here, Chad. Anything could happen. It's the NFL. All bets are off. Nothing would surprise me in the league, but I don't expect Russ to get benched in order to protect him from his 2025 salary becoming guaranteed. Patriot Tex in the house. What's up, brother? Thank you. Says George Payton, the GM, got to go. I won't bag on Russ tonight, but he is not the answer. Hashtag MHH for life. Look, Zach, it was a nice little reprieve, and it did rekindle some hope that I had lost in Russ, the 5-game win streak and winning 6 out of 7. But I told you guys, when I come off of something, it's for a good reason. And I was holding on to Russ being the short-term answer for this team. He's already 35, so it's not like you can expect him to be there for another 10 or 15 years. But a guy that you could, Zach, count on to kind of usher in the first 3-4 years of the Sean Payton era and then pass the torch. And I came off of that after the Week 5 loss to the Jets, which was one of several very humiliating losses. I mean, a loss sucks. It hurts. Sometimes hyperbole sneaks in and people make more about it or of it than it is or was. In that case, it was an utterly humiliating loss. Russ was a big reason for it. All the smack talk from Sean Payton that he failed to back up. And then you look at how the Jets season unfolded, and it only adds insult to injury. But I'm sorry. Like, I still, even that short streak, notwithstanding the 5 wins, etc., I just don't see how Russ moves this team forward. It feels like, even though he has a penchant for making plays, Zach, when the chips are down late in the game, overcoming obstacles, overcoming big, gaps and score deficiencies, etc., I just feel like it's kind of holding the team back one way or another. And I just think this, if I think that as a guy who covers the team and talks about it every day and writes about it every day, what do the guys that are dealing with him every day think? I mean, it's got to be, sometimes there's that too close to see thing, but not guys who are making, this is what they're getting paid to decide and recognize and understand and plan for and hedge against, etc. So seeing this outcome tonight, I'm a little bit more open to the possibility of them maybe choosing not to bring him back next year. But again, the penalty for moving on from him is so extreme, they might not have a choice, especially, Zach, for a team that's already over the cap in 2024.
Yeah, Russ wasn't the answer tonight. He hasn't been the answer in some of the Broncos' losses. Personnel speaking, though, Chad, Jonathan Harris isn't the starter or the answer at defensive end. Josie Jewell, Singleton, they're not the answer at inside linebacker. I mean, what's going on at tight end? What's going on at right tackle? There are major personnel deficiencies, and I do believe George Payton, if they kind of peter out to end the season, he's going to fall on the sword. But then again, George Payton, not to exonerate him, but he's not the one on the sideline making those calls. He's not the one with questionable tactics to get the team ready for a game. There's a lot that we can criticize Sean Payton for, Chad. He's certainly not blameless in these defeats.
I mean, the team has looked so much more competent, amid some of these just terrible outcomes compared to any of the recent. Compared to any coach since Kubiak. But it still hasn't been enough. And I think some of the limitations we're seeing, they are real. And I do think the quarterback situation is a part of that. Deanna, the Lady D, jumping in with a very, very generous super chat tonight. Love you. Appreciate you so much, Deanna, all that you do for us here. And we wish you a Merry Christmas despite tonight's disappointment. She says, so sad on a game we should have won. Merry Christmas, Chad, Zach, and also to your families. Give our best to your family as well. Lady DMHH for life. Bridge the gap. Heck yeah. Appreciate you, Deanna.
Thank you, Deanna. Merry Christmas to you and your family. And like Chad said, we wish it was a better occasion tonight.
Now, listen, we've been live for 31 minutes because, again, we decided to get started when it was looking as bleak as it was. About 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and it is Christmas Eve. And as a family man, I do have a few things I got to help take care of tonight. You know what I'm saying? So Mrs. Claus, so to speak, isn't doing all the heavy lifting. Point being, this won't be a super long stream relative to our normal broadcasting time. So any specific topics, questions, get them in the chat, supers. We will get to it, but we're going to try and keep it a little bit pithy tonight. Xander, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Very generous of you. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. It says weak on depth. No Nick Bonito. No big time defensive plays. No Sutton. No big time touchdown. But the truth is we need the barefoot Pinot Grigio commercial guy in the locker room to start the game. Seriously, I'm not sure what that is, Zach. Go big, all 4 quarters, or go play golf. Yeah, I'm sorry, Xander, if I missed your joke, dude. That's the worst. But yeah, the big play. You need your big players, Xander, in the big games to make big plays. That really didn't happen for the Broncos until Russ turned it on for a minute in the fourth quarter, but it was too little, too late. We could go through it, but so many of your best players exploited, did not play well tonight. Chris, Zach, with a symbolic super chat, as is his tradition on our gut reactions. Thank you, bro. Merry Christmas to you. Give our best to your family. He says, what a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde team. Yeah. Shouldn't have been like this, but there it was. Build on the good for next year. Thank you all, or thank you for all you do, and happy holidays to you. Right back at you, big dog. Thank you. And that's where we're at. Holy smokes. That's Chris. Here, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. I don't want to get this wrong. Hold on 1 second, guys.
Holy crap.
Producers got to spell it out for me so I don't screw something up, because I think I know but I got to make sure.
Well, Xander and Chris,
I know who it is. It's Chris Hernandez, dude. That's Chris Hernandez. I'm telling you, that's his Twitter. That's his. Maybe it's not, but whoever it is, I'm pretty sure it's Hernandez. I mean, maybe not though. Hold on. Yeah, I mean his KRYSS is in his Twitter handle. And if I'm wrong, whoever Chris,
he said it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Dang, bro. Going off that's a Christmas turkey right there, dude. That's a Christmas ham, prime rib turkey. Bro, thank you. It's so generous of you. I mean, seriously. Thank you, Chris. You know we love you, big dog. We don't take that lightly. Like maxing out super chat on YouTube on Christmas Eve. That is definitely a Christmas gift. He says, yeah, that's me. I had to switch accounts to get the full amount. Cool, Zach, on a Christmas Eve, that helps the football priest. That goes a long way, my dog. Thank you, Chris. Love you, big dog. Seriously.
I was going to say thank you, Xander, and thank you, Chris, for your generosity. That's before we saw that level of generosity. You're unbelievable, Chris, one of the OGs, and we hold you in such high esteem, high regard. The merriest of Christmas is the happiest of holidays with you and your family. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll send you a little care package, post-Christmas care package, bro. Seriously, thank you, my dog. Love you. Especially for someone who's got such roots with us. Goes all the way back to year one of us doing this as a live stream. I mean, Zach and I have been streaming or podcasting together since 2018.
Mhm.
But the live stream thing began September of 19, and I don't remember. I remember you being there in year one, dude. You've been there from the beginning. You've made it out, even though you don't live in Denver. You made it out to a meet and greet. We got to meet your wife. So cool, and you're part of the fabric of this community, my brother, and we love you,
A big part of the fabric, Chris. Thank you so much again.
man. Sometimes that people want us to just jump right back into football, but that level of just support and generosity and passion, like we have to not have to, like we want to recognize that that's what we do here. Love you, Chris. Naj jumping in. Also, very generous super chat.
Thank
Another
you,
one
Naj.
of our great um, figureheads of the community says, "Hey, brothers, devastating. Lots of fault to go around, but losing to that team at home in a must win. This is the worst loss in years. All we can hope for now is a winning season. I don't know what Peyton does this offseason, but this is soul crushing. It is soul crushing, Zach, and it could be a pivot point. It's like you were saying, we haven't seen any indication unless you want to really go down the paranoia rabbit hole of Sean kind of sideline breakdown last week in Detroit. I think that was just heat of the moment, but we have seen no indication leading into tonight, and including tonight, that the Broncos are not thinking Russ 2024 and beyond. But this is the type of game that changes things, that could change things anyways, what I'm getting at. And if the Broncos weren't already, Zach, so over the cap for 2024, I mean, they're already looking at having to cut a lot of fat and change a lot of things up and, cut people, ask for restructures. That's with or without Russell Wilson. So you would further be handicapping the team, so to speak, if you move on from him. What is it, Scott? 85 dead over the next two? I want to say combined, something like that, if you move on from him. So if it weren't for that, Zach, I would probably be thinking that, you know what, Sean Payton wants his own guy. Russ is showing you the limitations, etc. But that still is a very mitigating factor.
It's one thing to lose to Detroit or Houston or Miami. It's another thing to lose like this in this fashion. It reminds me, Chad, of 2017. I think it was 2017 that they were facing the Broncos were the Giants, who were winless on prime time at home in a game they pretty much had to have, and they came out and no-showed. This was the same exact result. But in terms of Russell Wilson, I just can't see Sean bailing on him when you're not technically eliminated yet. The Broncos still could get in if miracles happen. And I don't know the message that would send would be a positive one if, hey, if you're highly paid and at the first moment of adversity, Sean Payton's going to pull you regardless and play your backup. I just can't. I don't think he can make that move yet. Not with the Broncos still technically in it.
I mean, it would take a season-ending injury to rob them of, the whole salary guaranteed for 2025 in case of injury thing, but they're already on that hook anyway for so much of his salary. So it's like they don't really have much to lose besides just continuing to play him. Seriously, like they don't really have that much to lose because that contract really is an albatross around this team's neck. Grover jumping in, brother. Good to see you. He says, ho, ho. Oh, no. Ugly. Krampus just gutted us on Christmas Eve, but I hope tomorrow brings more joy to y'all. Much love and Merry Christmas, MHH for life. Same to you, big dog, and that's to everybody. I still hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, and I think you will once you burn out the hormones from tonight's just colossal disappointment. Sam Bam, brother, thank you, buddy. He says, Merry Christmas, guys. I know. Harsh, man. Harsh. It's also about complexion of how you lose a game, Zach. Brandon, thank you on Facebook. Merry Christmas. Thanks for being on tonight. Thanks for being with us, man. Seriously. It's also the complexion of how you lose a game. Everyone's fingerprints are on this one. What was it, the phrase you brought up again about Sean Payton? The stinks on everyone's fingers, right?
Yeah.
Something he said. Well, let us count the number of fingers that you can detect that stink on tonight. Coaches, the offense, obviously, the defense, obviously, special teams, long field goal, but you gotta hope to make you gotta expect make a 57-yard field goal, reigning AFC special teams
Yeah.
player of the month. The defense, in more ways than one, I mean, that horrible third quarter, then you allow them to go down and get that last drive. The offense, I mean, everyone stunk tonight.
And the expression is dirt on everyone's hands or everyone's fingers. I don't know why I keep saying stink.
No, no. There is a there.
Was
You
it
know,
stink
that
on
whole
fingers?
topic was regular for Sean Payton up until the game started about last season and how many people share complicity. Because the questions were always about Russ. It always started with, "Hey, how much of is Russ savable? Right? Can you fix Russ?" And he would reject the premise of Russ needing saving and saying, "Hey, no, everyone shares complicity." I promise you, there is a quote of him saying "stink on everyone's fingers." I think it was the Jarrett Bell. USA Today. You know, the whole Hackett thing.
All I know is every time I say that, I feel like my intrusive thoughts are winning, and it shouldn't be aired on this podcast, Chad. But anyway, yeah, I mean, we knew that the defense would kind of be back to mid. The offense is unreliable as ever, but when the special teams, which we compliment on the breakdowns each and every week, when Marvin Mims implodes, it's one of those games. But you can stomach when one of those games happens, like last week against Detroit or a few weeks ago against Houston. Those are bona fide, legit contenders. The Patriots, this iteration of the Patriots, they are not contenders. They are one of the worst teams in the NFL, and you come out on primetime at home and look like that? Unacceptable.
It was embarrassing. It really was. James, thank you, buddy. Merry Christmas to you. Says Russ has to go. 84 yards through 3 quarters. I know I tweeted about that. I don't care, pardon me, about the last 2 drives. Reminded me of Tebow. Also, we won't make the playoffs because we lost to the Raiders, Jets, and Commanders. Sad. I know, right? That first frame, that first quarter, it's one of the things that still annoys me about going to 17 is you can't technically call it you can't break it down by quarter. It's not even anymore. But still, your point, yes, the Broncos we knew just by looking at the schedule before things started, Zach. Hey, you got to make hay on that first frame, we'll call it, which included, as James points out here, the Raiders, the Commanders, Jets in Week 5. You crap the bed on Christmas Eve. You double crap the bed. Patriot text, Merry Christmas, guys. Hopefully Santa brings us a playoff team next year. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of where we go from here. Decisions are made in this front office because I just think that, I mean, again, we're talking about Sean Payton here, Zach. Like we've seen the kind of hay quarterbacks make with Sean Payton. I mean, obviously Drew Brees, future Hall of Famer, that's going to be a thing. But like the record he had with Teddy, the record he had with Jameis Winston, the record he had with I always forget this kid's name, dude, the white kid, quarterback from BYU.
Taysom Hill.
Thank you. I always botch that. Thank you both, Scott as well. And then Russ, you get stretches of brilliance, but never consistency. I don't think Russ has had a full 60 game solid performance this season. I mean, he's had, when you look at the box score, Zach, hey, he's had games where he doesn't throw a pick and doesn't turn it over, and they've won a game. But you're not looking at a quarterback that is able to put a team on his back, jump out early. At no point ever when the Broncos take the field, Zach, is a fan under the sun amongst the throng of Broncos country, the world over, ever comfortable that this thing's in hand. I mean, it just, and not to say that that fans deserve that or that should be a thing, but Russell Wilson has not fully realized what I expected potential-wise under Payton. His touchdown numbers are there, etc. That's the only thing you can really point to, Zach, as an improvement over last year. I still think it's fair to say Hackett broke him.
Yeah, we have James Moss hopping in, $20 super. Thank you so much, James. He goes, Russ is only good when the play breaks down and he's rolling out. That's not an offense. He got lucky in Seattle with that defense. People want to blame Sean Payton for play calling, but if Russ can't run the plays, who is really to blame? My view on it, there's certain games where Russ looks like not back to prime Russ, but a quarterback that you can definitely win with, a quarterback that you can succeed with. There's other times like tonight where every part of his game, from his pocket presence to his mechanics to his arm, they just fall apart and he just withers under pressure. He runs laterally. He doesn't move up. The offensive line doesn't help, but we've all come to the realization, and maybe I could speak for you, Chad, because I know we're two of the bigger Russ guys out there. they have to have another quarterback in 2024, at least on the roster. It doesn't mean you have to cut Russ or go out and usurp him from day one, but this is a team that's being held back by who's under center. The play calling could be better. The game planning could be better. The defense could be better. There's personnel issues, but it all starts with the quarterback. And I'm a big Russ guy, but in losses like tonight, it is glaring when Bailey Zappi outplays you that you need help in that area.
Can't disagree. Ryan, thank you. So generous, my friend. Appreciate you on Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas. Says, what's up, Priest and Broncos country? Let's be honest. We were getting ourselves up with false hope. This team with Russ is too inconsistent, and we would not do damage in the playoffs. I've always had hope and always will. Here's to you guys in 2024. Right back at you, brother.
Thank you, Ryan.
No. I don't think we had. I mean, in hindsight, it's now proven to be a false hope, right? Hope that was at least unrealized, but when you battle back to 500, Zach, after a 1-5 start and literally put yourself in the midst of the playoffs, it's not beyond the pale to start thinking playoffs. I mean, that's a loser mindset to get to that point and not start putting that into the equation. Like, you have to project it as the team. You have to project that as not only a possibility, but a probability. And as guys covering the team, when it becomes mathematically possible, of course, it becomes part of the conversation. But it is unfortunate, Zach, that as Ryan writes here, now in retrospect, through the lens of the fullness of the season and actual fact, our hopes did turn out to be false. But that does not mean they were unfounded.
No, thank you, Ryan. First of all, and Merry Christmas. Very appreciative that you're tuning in with us tonight. I agree with you, Chad. When the Broncos go back to 500, it was a fresh, brand new season, clean slate. And they've had major tests, major barometer games since getting back to that mark. You can stomach the Texans loss. That was kind of one that cracked the dam. The Detroit loss, okay, Detroit's a really good team this year, but tonight, that was the death knell for the Broncos season because you couldn't afford to have it happen, and New England is not anywhere near the same level as the other teams. So I don't think it was false hope, but I do believe, and I'm guilty of this as well, during the winning streak, we all romanticize the Broncos a little better than they actually were in reality.
I think part of that too was just the magical run that the defense went on relative to takeaways. It really covered so many holes that and it was so extreme in how productive it was that it was easy to buy into. But pragmatists like Nick Kendall's like, hey, this is something, it's not going to last forever. And of course, we knew it wouldn't last forever, but I think that did kind of inflate people's view. Sherry, thank you. We're going to start rapid fire in here. Sherry says on Facebook, this was a team loss. Gaps everywhere, but the play calling was boring and conservative. Why can't we play explosive from the beginning like we do with 10 minutes left in the game? Merry Christmas to us. She goes on to say, and to think if we won tonight, I was driving to Denver next week to go to the game. Not going to get my money now. Saved me a lot of money. Probably waste my money now is what you're saying. But, well, saved you a trip anyway, huh, Sherry? But try and have a Merry Christmas. I mean, I'm really disappointed for everybody in Broncos country who was like, man, just deliver a dub for us here. That's all we can ask for. And really kind of kick your Christmas off right. And now 2 years in a row, you got negative feelings on Christmas, a Christmas Day embarrassment, a Christmas Eve embarrassment. Deuce from New Orleans or from NO. Thank you for the super, my friend. Good to see you. Yeah, it's just one of those. These are the kind of sick feelings you have in the pit of your stomach, Zach, or that become so familiar over the preceding 7 years. Josh Ross. Russ isn't to blame for everything. He didn't call those run plays before the touchdown drive. Offense slow until needed. Where is the sense of urgency? That part, yes, you put on the coach as far as how the plays are called, Zach. But I think he realized a long time ago that that whole backyard thing, when the chips are down, it can work. If you try and make the backyard, run out there and let Russ just kind of fly around and find people streaking open. Good defense, that's also not a recipe for success. Just like a quarterback who I have zero memories, literally, Zach. Maybe there's a play someone could dig up and find, but as a Bronco, I have zero memories of Russell Wilson ever climbing the pocket When the pressure comes, he either stays where he's at and or he turns around, bails out the back. He never tries to climb up to buy that extra second or two that it might give him to make the throw. And I think I'm only saying that because, and then Raj, I'm going to grab you. I'm only saying that because I think part of the dogged determination, or what is perceived by fans and media, of this boring stubbornness to stick to a certain brand of offense by Sean Payton, I think part of that is him just knowing that he recognizes the limitations of his quarterback.
Yeah, it wasn't all on Russell. I mean, I feel like I've been saying this in every Broncos loss the last 2 seasons. It wasn't all on Russ, but there's times where there's no other culprit but Russell Wilson. It just wasn't good enough from a schematic standpoint, from an execution standpoint. But we've had more evidence now under two different regimes that kind of point to saying maybe the offense would be better with a different quarterback and a different skill set under center. That's a fair argument to make now.
Raj, thank you, buddy. Gentlemen, I can't get past the fact that we didn't just kick a field goal on the first series. Thoughts? Yeah, this is something we've already. I mean, it bothered me because this game had all the makings of a rock fight, with just how inconsistent the offense for Denver is and how dominant that rushing defense is for the Patriots. This had all the makings of a rock fight. And in a rock, period, in the NFL, Zach, points come at a premium, yada, yada. But especially in a rock fight game, you got to take those points when they're there. And so, yeah, I was shaking my head. I was upset about it in the moment, Zach, and hoped that it wouldn't come back to haunt them. Turns out, what did they lose by? 3 points.
Yeah, questionable for sure, but they never should have been in that position against a pretty bad Patriots team at home in a primetime must-win situation. But we have FA coming in, $49.99 super. Thank you so much, FA. Hope you and your family are having a great holiday season. Merry Christmas. This one stings, fellas, but this team has heart. PS2 needs to wake up. Parker owned him on multiple occasions. Russ needs to stop running into sacks, step up in the pocket and launch the ball, take a chance. Like usual, Chad, we tend to agree with what FA's viewpoints were of the game, and those are the big problems because those are your guys that you count on. Russ on offense and PS2 on defense. Those are your leaders. They're your captains, and they were bad for the majority of the game tonight. And it just proves that you can have a bad game, but you have to have someone to pick that person up. And on offense or defense, when Courtland Sutton came out, for example, if a $245 million quarterback can't make everyone else around him better or can't make another receiver stand out after losing your one, then he's a little overpaid. If PS2, if there's no other person in the secondary that can make a play and PS2 gets exposed, they're not as good as we thought they were. So FA, the realization and the resignation, it's pretty painful.
Once again, I'm going to say this. In the big games, you need your best players to make big plays. And when it doesn't happen, it is going to cost you. And PS2, he's kind of been, you talk about FA needs to wake up. He's kind of been sleepwalking through most of this season, if I'm being frank. And listen, if my brother was sitting next to me right now, I was at a Christmas party for the first half of the game, he would confirm this. But before things started going sideways for the Broncos, as the game was getting going, I expressed this opinion to him. He could confirm that Patrick Surtain, he might get lucky, Zach, and get a Pro Bowl off of the juice of his name, but he's not making All-Pro. He's not had a good season. Average. He's mostly lived off his reputation, and the teams that decide to disregard the reputation and have attacked him this year, more often than not, Zach, they've succeeded. Yeah, and thank you, Scott. A Pro Bowl will cost the Broncos almost $3 million more on a Pat Surtain fifth-year option, which of course is going to get extended. They're going to pick up his fifth-year option when the time comes, but PS2 has not had a good year. And just again tonight, so many of the players, Broncos' best players, failed to step up and make big plays. Offensively, you lost one of your best players in Courtland Sutton, obviously, but Russ, too little, too late. Where was Jerry Jeudy? He's a first-round pick. He's supposed to be one of your best players. Javonte Williams, outside of a couple of runs, once again, running into contact, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I could think of one run tonight. Scratch that. 2 runs outside of the goal line where he did more than, the 3 yards in a cloud of dust thing. Defense, PS2, smoked in critical situations. Where was Justin Simmons? Jonathan Cooper made one play that I can remember. He did get a sack, but DJ Jones, one big player that gave you a big play. Big player in the sense that he's paid as a big player. Did give you that one takeaway early. Jordan, Merry Christmas, fellas. I'm lost for words. It seemed we tried to overlook the Patriots and screwed around with bad play calling. Also, PS2 giving up that big pass play was so disappointing.
Yeah, and I was thinking about what kind of maybe my point was a little unclear, but if you take away Patrick Surtain, and that's why I said if we romanticized the talent level or how good they were playing, I mean, opposite them, Jaquan McMillian, who had a bad game tonight, undrafted free agent. PJ Locke, who we all loved during the winning streak, playing for Kareem Jackson, undrafted free agent. There's third and fourth and seventh round picks littering the defense. Speaking to them exclusively, there is a talent deficiency issue. And my reality, my takeaway is, Chad, this team is not nearly as close as I thought they'd be. I was talking maybe 11-5 or 11-6, 12-5 to start the season, and now it's like we're limping to maybe 9-8. It's, again, a very frustrating reality.
You just don't have the front seven talent defensively. They can flash occasionally, but especially on the D line and your rush, like every rush linebacker the Broncos have, Zach, would be great number twos or solid number twos, good number twos to have. But when you're relying on them to be the guys, it's just hasn't come out in the wash well. Amongst the many needs this team has is a true kind of Batman style caliber, I should say, edge rusher, and Von Miller's not walking through those doors, anytime soon. I mean, like old version, prime version Vaughn. Michael says 5% with the loss against the Patriots. The Broncos have 5% chance at the NFL play. Yeah, it's over. I mean, it's over. Lady D jumping in again. Love you so much, Deanna. She says, Merry Christmas, Broncos country. Like, share, and subscribe. Hashtag MHH for life. That's a great message. Thank you. Please take heed to what the Lady D has to say. Give us a like at the very least. Helps us out if you're on YouTube, Facebook. Share it out, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you, Deanna. FA, another top rope super, like Lady D more than once tonight. He says, can we stop giving Russ credit for getting out of messes he created? This is an interesting point here, Zach. He creates a lot of his own mess. Take a look at what the Browns are doing with Joe frickin' Flacco. Merry Christmas, fellas. You too, Scott. Merry Christmas right back at you, big dog. And yeah, it goes to show you that teams that, Zach, are willing to kind of play hard and fast with NFL custom, like the Browns, it's NFL custom would dictate you don't, even though you signed this guy, Joe Flacco, this busted down, it's over for this guy quarterback. You lost your number one. You just continue riding with the guys who were there for training camp, were there, all that stuff. Not Stefanski. Not the Browns. They're shaking things up because, the mother of invention is necessity, etc. All that stuff. They kind of were in a situation where it was adapt or die, and that coaching staff had the cashews to say, no, we're going to try and evolve here, and it butts up against NFL custom and convention, but we're going to try to do something most teams don't do. And it's paying dividends for him. And hey, look at Joe Flacco, who in Denver anyway looked like he had nothing left. And here he is doing his thing. I mean, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Joe Flacco, who would have thunk it?
Yeah, I've been watching some Browns games recently because I have Amari Cooper in fantasy. Shout out Johnny Not Bravo with Cooper putting up 58.5 today in the semifinals. But it was a situation where, Chad, that running game is better than the Broncos running game. That offensive line as a whole is better than the Broncos offensive line. Myles Garrett on Cleveland's defense is light years better than anyone the Broncos have on defense. Their defensive coordinating and staff is better than the Broncos defensive staff. And you can argue at times Stefanski, his play calling and his preparation is on par with Sean Payton. No two situations are the same, but I have a feeling I could have went in there, Chad. You could have went in there and quarterbacked the Browns to a few victories. But if you watch the games, Amari Cooper fights for the passes. Elijah Moore fights for the passes. David Njoku fights for the passes. Where is that tenacity? Who wants the ball that much in Denver, except for Cortland Sutton, Brandon Johnson, Lucas Krull? It's the scales are too unbalanced.
Lawrence, how many problem children we were up for grabs this year at the wide receiver position that could have made an immediate impact that we skipped over. So how many problem children that were up for grabs this year at wide receiver that we passed over because they're problem children that could have made an immediate impact? I don't know, man, but that's one of the fair points to make here. Like we marvel at what Joe Flacco's doing, but Zach, as you kind of illustrated there, he does have Amari Cooper, and you go, well, Russ has Cortland Sutton. Well, not tonight, he didn't. Um, and I mean, even just watching that Dallas game earlier before the Broncos, I'm thinking to myself, once again, it's like, hey, there was a wide receiver the Broncos could have taken, but decided to take Jerry Jeudy. I mean, what I wouldn't give for that cat right now to be sporting
Yeah.
orange and blue. I mean, seriously, CC Lamb, baller. Jess, thank you, bro. We'll still be here regardless of the wins and losses. Appreciate that, bro, because we will too. We will too. And we've learned, Zach, I mean, the rise of our brand and our show's success and our website and all that came amidst the darkest period literally ever for the Denver Broncos in the Super Bowl era, which does prove to us that you guys are ride and die. You're here for the best. You're here for the worst. You'll be there, and we appreciate you. Thank you, Ronk. So good to see you tonight. Merry Christmas to you, big dog.
That's why I say, I've said it for years, I'll say it again, Broncos country is the best fan base in the entire world, Chad, and I mean that from my heart.
Scott, are we pretty caught up? Okay, listen, guys, I love you all. Seriously, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. We gotta get off. We went early tonight, about 4 minutes before the game ended, so we've been on now for just over an hour. And Jacob jumping in, I felt like Sean Payton is sabotaging the Broncos, but we got to get going. Things to do at home. I feel you, my friend. If you circle back and rewind this episode when we're done streaming, you'll see some of our thoughts on the idea of where Sean Payton stands in the, you talk about the circle of trust, the circle of complicity in tonight's loss. But Zach, we got a few messages for you guys before you dip. Don't leave quite yet.
That was another tremendous installment, the gut reaction episode of the Mile High Huddle podcast. If you're not doing so, follow us on Twitter at the MHH Pod. You can follow the main account at Mile High Huddle. Chad at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL, and Scott, our producer, at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some MHH merch, you know where to find it, what to find, right there, mhhmerch.com. Cop you some. It's good stuff, I promise. If you haven't done so, please drop us a like at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. Also, you can find us on Instagram at mile_high_huddle. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, make sure you're leaving your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some of that merch each and every single month. But if anything, y'all, please subscribe, like, and share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans just like y'all.
A shout out to the great Super Chat superstars of MHH and supporters on Facebook tonight, starting with Chris Hernandez, balling out, maxing out YouTube. FA, the Lady D, the early birds like Diamond Rattler, Kendrick Ware, Taylor, Chad Campbell, Patriot Tex, Xander, Grover, Sam Bam, Naj, James Todd, James Moss, Deuce, Josh Ross, Jordan Lewis, Ryan, Top Rope. Let me see, Jacob on Facebook. Lawrence, Big Boy Stars. Brandon Williams, Big Boy Stars. The Ronk, Big Boy Stars. Raj, Sherry, Colby. Much love and respect. And again, guys, I'm sorry that kind of Christmas got kicked off in such a disappointing way, but really hope everyone has a Merry Christmas and try and put it behind you and enjoy tonight and tomorrow for what it's about. Enjoy your family. Stay safe. We love you. And we'll be talking to you here soon. We're not sure about what's going to happen tomorrow night for the show, but stay tuned for that. We'll let you know.
Yeah, facts, whatever. Everything Chad just said, absolute facts. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Take care. And as always, go Broncos.